But this was my wrestling room during the pandemic. Gosh, there's so many boxes of clothes back here. But I bought this mat in March of 2020, and then I stole this bike from the training center. I stole this bike from the training center. I'll give it back eventually, probably. So when they closed down the training center, it was like a free-for-all. Like the athletes went in there and people were just like taking stuff out of the training center. We're like, we got to get ready. So like we took these dumbbells, this ball. I mean, just anything so I could like build a gym in my garage. So yeah, I think I'll get this back one day. I'm like, oh my God, this is gonna be so fun when the weather's nice. We'll like pop open the garage. I thought it was such a good idea. And then no, horrible idea. The sun comes in, this mat was like 7,000 degrees. We were like crying, melting in here. I also use these bricks as weights. So I have like a bunch of bricks laying around outside. So we would use these as dumbbells. Our hands would get all cut up. So the sauna I got off Amazon. So you just kind of sit up in there. You're supposed to put a little chair in there and your little head pokes out, but I was not about that. I would just zip it up and throw a t-shirt over there and just like hunch inside there. So yeah, it's like crazy. I got ready for the Olympics in here, and then my sister was living with me at the time. My boyfriend is a gymnast, so we actually had a pommel horse over here that we would bring out over there. But it was frustrating because pommel horse is huge. Right. So this space is already tiny. So like we were both trying to get ready for the Olympics. So like I'm wrestling around this pommel horse. So we didn't really have a lot of space in here. But with that said, because there wasn't a lot of space, I just worked leg laces. We would just go over there and I would just work leg laces for 4 hours a day, just all day. All these variations of leg laces because there was not enough room to really do a lot of takedowns. Or certainly not wrestle live. As annoying as that pommel horse was, it forced me to work on that. When I think back to it, I'm like, holy cow. We were all starting to come back and people were like asking like, oh, how'd you spend your quarantine? And be like, it was so great. Like I rested and took time off. And I was like, yeah, me too. And in my head, I'm like, no, I completely lost my mind. Like I worked out like 20 times a day, throwing bricks around, sitting in these like cloth saunas. I was like, I was totally on one during the quarantine, so. But it worked out. So yeah, here's my wrestling room.